Hello and welcome to Little Bits of History, a show about telling little bits of history through history's littlest bits. I'm your host, Jason. March, 1839. A man enters a dimly lit room on the edge of town. He's at a seedier place, sure, but he needs to be. The man has a pocket full of coins and is ready to spend it relaxing. Relaxing, so he thinks? Or is he feeding a habit? The man has been walking for what feels like a half hour when he comes upon the building he's been looking for. It's an unremarkable building in an unremarkable part of town. The sun begins to set, and he makes his way inside. He takes a seat on the lush couches that adorn the room in their deep, red, opulent splendor. He looks around at the familiar walls. A painting of a long is on the wall, engraved with gold leaf, over which is a traditional round Chinese lantern, lit dimly and loathsomely, and adorns the ceiling with luxurious, colorful cloths, going from the top edges of the walls up to the top of the lantern. A smoky smell fills the air along with the burning of traditional Chinese herbs and incense to quell the stench. The man takes out the coins from his pouch and hands some to the proprietor. "Yapion?" asks the man. He nods in agreement, and the proprietor leaves. The man briefly takes in the sights and sounds and begins to drift into the indulgent haze of it all. He is starkly snapped out of this daze by the sound of the proprietor returning. He carries a tray with the implements of his habit, small porcelain containers balanced delicately on a red and black tray. He places the tray on the table next to him, bows, and leaves. The man reaches into his satchel and removes a long wooden pipe, and begins to fill it with the substance from the porcelain containers. But at that very moment the door flies open, and city guards enter the room, led by a man who has sworn to the emperor that this way of life will not stand. For this luxurious place is not a tobacco house or a hookah bar, it's an opium den. A high-class one, but nonetheless a drug den, and this will not stand. The man is Lin Zexu, and he has entered this place on orders from Emperor Daoguang. Snuff out this opium problem by any means necessary. But little does he know that these raids will snowball into one of the greatest drug wars in Chinese history. By the late 18th century, due to the Qing Dynasty's very strict regulations on foreign trade, such as only allowing foreigners to trade in one particular port, that of Guangzhou, or that they must only pay in silver and cannot sell any of their wares to the Chinese, Britain, like the rest of Europe, was facing a trade deficit. The English really liked their tea by now, and their silk and porcelain. To try to quell some of this trade deficit, though, the East India Trading Company began smuggling opium produced in Bengal into China. By the early 1800s, opium addiction had spread so widely in China that it reversed the trade imbalance but caused major social and economic crises. Part of this reason is because a large influx of opium which was coming from Turkey and was significantly cheaper, but was also poor in quality, meaning opium was becoming even more widely available. In 1839, the spring of 1839, Emperor Daoguang sent Lin Zexu to Guangzhou. Originally, Lin had sent an open letter to Queen Victoria to appeal to her reason, but ultimately he was left with no choice. He seized and destroyed 1,420 tons of opium under the emperor's edict by burning them on a beach. That summer, tensions escalated after the killing of villager Lin Weiji by British soldiers in Kowloon caused the first skirmishes to break out between the Qing junks and the British warships. The British were able to beat back the Chinese and started to purchase provisions, but the local commander of Kowloon had declared a Chinese victory, claiming that a two-masted warship had been sunk and 40 to 50 British were dead. By June of 1840, Britain had dispatched a naval expedition consisting of 15 barrack ships, 4 steam-powered gunboats, and 25 smaller ships, blockading Chinese ports and capturing Zhoushan. However, that year, a disease broke out in the Dinghai garrison, forcing the British to evacuate the soldiers to Manila and Kolkata. By the end of 1841, only about 1,900 of the 3,300 men who had occupied the area were left. In January of 1841, British victories at the Second Battle of Chuenpi and the Bogue Forts caused the preliminary convention of Chuenpi to propose ceding Hong Kong, but it was rejected by both powers. In 1841, British forces captured Canton, today known as Guangzhou, Amoy, and Ningbo, exploiting their superior naval power. By March of 1842, Qing counterattacks had failed to retake Ningbo, further weakening Chinese defense effort. The British lured the Chinese out into the streets before opening fire, resulting in heavy Chinese casualties. That July, the British captured Zhenjiang, securing the Yangtze River route and threatening Nanjing and forcing the Qing forces to sign a peace treaty. And finally, in August of 1842, the Treaty of Nanking ended the war. China ceded Hong Kong, opened 5 treaty ports, Canton, Amoy, Fuzhou, Ningbo, and Shanghai, paid indemnities to the crown, and granted extraterritorial rights to Britain. Thus ended the First Opium War. The coin itself is made of brass. The obverse side features traditional Chinese ideograms read top to bottom, right to left. The translation reads Dao Guang Dongbao, or Dao Guang Universal Currency. The reverse side features the Manchu words Bu Choi Wan, which are separated by the square hole struck through the center of the coin. The edges are plain and were minted in Emperor Daoguang's name from 1821 to 1850, but these coins would have been in circulation and commonly used during this time to pay for food, taxes, and especially opium in the opium dens that the emperor sought to destroy. They weighed about 3.5 to 3.7 grams and are 24 millimeters in circumference. I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. I apologize for if any of my Chinese or Manchu pronunciations were incorrect. They probably were. But if you enjoyed the episode, please like and subscribe, and wait for the next episode. It's going to be a doozy. Thank you, and have a wonderful day.